It's the world. I'm in P world. The worst NBA 2K game. Personally, I got two 2Ks that I think could be the worst. Whatever 2K it was, I believe it was 2K15. I like 2K15, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying as far as my career goes, I don't know what this video is about to be about, but as far as my career goes, 2K15 take the cake with the bad voice acting from the NBA superstars. And then also the one that had the girl Be Fresh in it. I really didn't vibe with that 2K. Or that I don't know. I just didn't like that. But we gonna see what they talking about, yo. What's the worst NBA 2K game? Shout out to Soft Drink TV, yo. They make dope videos. You feel me?
Today, people hate the NBA 2K series. Just the other day, hashtag #MakeTwoKFunAgain was trending #1 on Twitter. 2K has built up this reputation of being money hungry and greedy, featuring predatory microtransactions and pay-to-win online gameplay, and rightfully so. This reputation stems from 2K18, one of the worst sports video games ever made. And while 2K18 had plenty of depth and things to do in the game, the awful gameplay and hyper monetization of my career led to...
This is when it started, bro. The crazy ass microtransactions. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that ugly ass park, bro. And if you wanted to go do anything, you had to run all the way around the motherfucking... Bro, it was terrible.
Such a
I agree with this.
title that despite fixing most of these issues in newer titles, 2K's reputation is still dragged down by this game.
Damn.
For example, I have seen countless people on Twitter mention that 2K is worse than EA, for example, because they charge you VC for
We'll leave that up for debate.
haircuts. This was true in 2K18, but in every 2K since, haircuts were free as 2K tried to right their wrongs. Now, I'm not trying to say 2K21, for example, is perfectly reasonable with its microtransactions, because it's not, and I criticized this in my recent review of the game. But it's telling that people hate on 2K for things that no longer apply.
Very sorry.
It seems like 2K18 was so bad that a ton of players decided to quit buying 2K games altogether as a sign of protest. Yet we'll continue arguing that newer 2K games are bad based on flaws that only applied to 2K18. 2K18 was the catalyst that really started the trend of bashing sports games.
Damn.
The problem with 2K18 was that 2K tried to push the envelope as far as possible in terms of maximizing revenue. They wanted to see just how much money they could get out of their player
I hated
base
that part.
without completely losing them. Obviously, 2K went too
Damn.
far, and with gameplay that was nearly unplayable, they lost the loyalty of a large percentage of their player base. Thank you to Audible for sponsoring this video. As you guys know, Audible...
Yeah. Not doing that, bro. Damn, it's still going. Hold on.
Right this second. Now back to the video.
Hey,
The
I was right
neighborhood
on
was
point.
added for the first time, which was a much larger park with more things to do, but the neighborhood was seemingly created with the idea of microtransactions in mind. The grind was unbearable.
Fuck
Not
yeah.
only did it cost a ton of VC to upgrade your player, but things like haircuts, clothing, tattoos, and shoes were insanely expensive as well. As a rookie, you barely get minutes in games, so earning VC by playing through your games was basically a lost cause in your first season. This game wanted you to buy VC, and it made the grind to become a good player as difficult as possible without doing so. Playing games in the neighborhood really showed how big of an issue this was. You could tell when you were playing someone who spent money on the game,
they're getting your
because
ass
they'd
beat.
be a 99 overall player, but play like trash. If you didn't spend money, however, no matter how smart you'd play, you really stood no chance. Your options were to either drop $150 on VC or grind for hundreds of hours just to be competitive online and maybe have a tattoo or an arm sleeve. When joining the neighborhood, you were a 60 overall generic player just like today.
Some bullshit.
No one is going to want to play with you because you are a complete liability with your lack of skills. You won't get dunk animations, you'll be too slow to blow by anyone, and you'll need to greenlight nearly every jump shot just to make one. Because in the neighborhood,
fucking
there is
hated
no
this
1v1
part.
game mode. You have to team up with people, and unless you were squatting up with friends, if you try joining a game as a 60 overall, people will just walk away and refuse to play with you. So basically, there was a paywall to simply play in the neighborhood. Of course, this issue is still present in recent 2K games, although the grind is a bit more manageable and cosmetics are either free or much easier to come by. Still, 2K18 basically normalized the pay-to-win online competitive issue commonly seen in all sports games today, and because they went to such extremes with it, simply dialing it back a bit in 2K19, 20, and 21 led to games that weren't as bad of a grind but were still pay-to-win at heart. Most park players today will pre-order the most expensive version of the game just so they can instantly be an 80-something
you have
overall
to.
and compete. $60 no longer buys you the full experience anymore, and 2K18 set that trend. The greediness of 2K wasn't even the worst part of this game. Gameplay was atrocious. On the surface, gameplay sounded great. Here's a Reddit thread from where 2K was hyping up the game pre-launch. They claimed that pre-canned animations were gone, and player attributes determined everything. This got people excited and obviously sounds amazing. However, in the actual gameplay, this wasn't true at all. Animations drove gameplay that year. Nearly any player, regardless of their attributes, could blow by any defender. As long as you started sprinting past a defender, there was a very high chance the blow-by animation would trigger, and then it's an easy trip to the basket with nothing the defender could do.
Shit's terrible.
Then there was the insanely weird change to layups. Sometimes there would be a layup meter, sometimes there wouldn't be. It felt completely random. You drive in for a layup, be completely open, and just miss. If there was any defender anywhere close to you, you'd miss an easy layup. This was the 2K where missed layups happened all the time. It was infuriating. They tried to make turnovers and loose balls less animation based, but this resulted in players being unable to handle easy passes and loose ball scenarios being an ugly
That's currently going on right now on like PS5 2K, bro. They're doing that same fucking animations right there on long passes, yo.
ragdoll mess.
It's crazy.
2K19 fixed most of these issues, but man, it seemed like everything 2K18 tried to implement failed miserably in execution. I've noticed in recent years, hating on sports games has become more and more popular. Despite being a terrible game, Madden 18 really wasn't hated as much back then because people really didn't have that mob mentality where they were fed up and ready to unionize against a game. 2K18 was the real start of that. If you go on Metacritic, the user score was a 1.6. 2K17 was a 5.8. That's quite the jump. 2K went so hard with microtransactions, and combined with the awful gameplay, players actually got fed up and trashed the game. In a sense, 2K18 could be seen as a good thing, because this game basically woke up the majority of sports game players, as well as casual gamers from all genres. And due to how terrible the game was, it started the trend of demanding a better product from sports game companies. At the time, players were so fed up they started hyping up NBA Live 18 and 19 the next year.
Whoa. He better not say nothing bad because NBA Live is fucking hard, bro. I don't care what no one says, bro.
A game that was worse than 2K overall, but didn't feature the same predatory pay-to-win tactics in the career mode as 2K did. That was the new standard. 2K18 also proved that consumers do have at least somewhat of a say when it comes to what these companies can get away with. The online backlash towards 2K18 was so extreme that 2K made changes to the game's economy, making everything cheaper and reverting back to more reasonable pricing in 2K19. This showed consumers that enough noise can and will be heard to at least some extent. The funny thing is, as bad as the gameplay was and as pay-to-win as the online game modes felt in 2K18, the rest of the game was pretty good. Graphics were amazing for the time and a huge improvement from 2K17. A ton of new classic teams were implemented. As flawed as it was, the neighborhood was a cool idea and very innovative. Presentation was phenomenal, and game modes like My League and My GM were as deep as always. The thing is, when 2K18 servers finally shut down, there really wasn't anyone still playing the game. With a sports game, the most important thing, in my opinion, is gameplay. And if a game has bad gameplay, people are going to stop playing it. 2K18 had probably the worst gameplay ever in 2K's lifetime. And while it definitely wasn't all bad, The issues that plagued it made it incredibly frustrating and at times unplayable. 2K17 really wasn't that good.
Jimmy Butler on the
It was an average 2K
Bulls.
plagued by serious server issues at launch. But people seem to forget how bad the launch was. Today I get comments all the time on my 2K16 video where I called that game the last good 2K.
That was a good 2K.
People call me stupid because in their opinion, 2K17 was amazing. 2K17 was universally hated at launch. The thing is, 2K18 was so much worse that people retroactively changed their
What the
mind on
fuck?
2K17. 18 made 17 look good, and combined with nostalgia, people now think highly of
Nostalgia.
2K17. I think most people
Nostalgia.
can agree that 2K18 was awful, however. It showed promise and, to be fair, tried to innovate in terms of gameplay, but the execution was so poor, and combined with the terrible implementation of microtransactions and one of the most tedious grinds in any $60 video game ever,
Park's
the game
fucking
was a
butt.
bust. While the general consensus on 2K17 seems to have changed as the years have gone on, I don't think that will ever happen with 2K18, because it was just that bad. And to this day, 2K still hasn't recovered from a reputation standpoint. The new NBA 2K games are some of the most hated games ever, and it begs the question, if 2K18 wasn't such a mess, would 2K's reputation today be any different? Thanks for watching. If you're new
we
here,
go.
consider
That was the worst 2K. Let me know what in the world I should react to next. Until next time, it's the world.